as opposed to just upgrading the existing network. But I think we're bold enough to know that just doing the same thing and over again, you cannot expect different results. So we got to WiMAX. Unfortunately, Sprint ran into some operational challenges. So you might have heard that Sprint acquired a company called Nextel. And the integration, not exactly, I think the management team, the senior team, lose sight of some fundamental things about integration, M&A, merger and acquisition. Is that you cannot merge with a new company and ignore the customers of that company that you merge with. That's what Sprint did. The senior management team, and I have a lot of respect for that team because certainly we did a lot of good things and did it right. But that one thing that we lose sight of and that paying us, we have to pay royalty for that, is that we lose sight of the fact that we didn't take care of the customer base of the company that we acquired. And the Nextel customer base, using this technology called IDEN. IDEN was more than antiquated technology, but highly successful in this so-called walkie-talkie radio capability, which has very high customer loyalty. But when we told those guys that, well, we're going to give you a CDMA version of that technology, and by the way, you'll be coming out in 9 months' time, we lost their mind share, and they start churning. When they start churning, it really erodes our base. It causes a lot of friction for our economic model. And when that happened, we had to start cutting costs. And that's what unfortunately happened to Sprint. And we started the course of launching WiMAX, but we had to scale back our aspiration because there were some other operational issues that we had to deal with. But one way or the other, I was in the WiMAX group leading the product development team. And I learned a lot because at the time I mentioned to you I was heading innovation at Sprint. But I felt so excited and so passionate about this WiMAX technology, I decided I should just join the group and head up product development and make sure that all these ideas that we have get implemented. So we launched this WiMAX. I went into this WiMAX organization and head up product development. So from that point on, because of some of the operational challenges at Sprint, we have to recapitalize the WiMAX business. So we spin off the WiMAX business and combine with a company called Clearwire, who is also doing WiMAX in the United States. We were originally talking about doing roaming with Clearwire, but because of financial challenges, we then became more than just a roaming discussion, became a integration discussion. So I went into the Clearwire organization, and I carry on that tradition of innovation. When I was at Sprint, one of the projects I did back in the innovation group was to look at next generation mobile operating system. That was about 3.5 years ago as well. Same time we looked at the WiMAX project. There was a little company in California called Google that was interested in building a phone operating system. So we talked to Google, and we thought, well, that's an interesting concept. Andy Rubin was the guy that created the device called Danger. Do you remember a device called Danger? Sidekick? It was launched in the T-Mobile network in the United States. It's quite popular. It's a texting device like BlackBerry, but it's more oriented towards the teen market or the younger type demographics. So that was Andy Rubin's company. So Andy sold his company and he made his millions. But Andy fundamentally believes that the existing mobile operating systems are not qualified to be an operating system to support the smartphone experience. So Andy decided that, well, I want to create a new company. So we started working on this stealth project called Android. So let me explain what Android comes about. I think there's a bit of trivia that you can use to impress your friends. So Andy, he loves robotics. Android. And his first name, Andy. You got it? Android. Andy's Droid. So Andy created this stealth company called Android. And he had a bunch of guys that used to work at him at Danger to create this new operating system, so-called mobile operating system done right. So he was working on it. One day, he walked into Google to raise money. He basically was asking Google just to invest in his company. And after he heard Andy's pitch, Eric Smith, the CEO of Google, basically pulled out a checkbook, something like that. I wasn't there, so it was what people told me, and offered to buy his whole company for, I think, 80 million or something like that. So that's how Google got Android. It's for an acquisition of this entrepreneur. So after Andy's got into part of Google, basically, and Eric Smith gave him a blank check to go and do shopping. So Andy had one of the best shopping spree an engineer could ask for. He got a blank check from Google. He go around the world and he bought the best libraries, the best graphics libraries, the best font libraries, the best database libraries, and bring them all together. So all together, am I being recorded? I see. Too late now. But he invested this much US dollars to build Google. We live in the digital world. So that's the amount of money they invested to build Android. So I was leading the due diligence at Sprint to decide whether we should invest and be part of the Android Alliance. So as you might recall, when Google launched Android, we were one of the signing member of the OHA, Open Handset Alliance. So that's how they came about. I was doing the due diligence. So I believe in Android. So guess what? When I joined Clearwire, I said that, well, I think for this 4G network to become alive, we have to have interesting devices to show the value of 4G. And how do we create those devices? Well, that sounds like a very good operating system because someone has invested a lot of money in it already. As a point of comparison, Microsoft invested $1 billion in Windows Mobile, but that's over 10 years' time. And now they have to scrap it and do it again. Right? You had Windows Mobile 7. Whereas in this scenario, it happened in basically 24 months' time. And that amount of money invested. This is the largest amount of money invested in creating a mobile operating system in history. So, of course, I'm a believer of Android. So when I got to Clearwire, I said, well, let's make sure we build devices using Android to ensure we can show the greatness of mobile internet technology. So let's talk about mobile internet for a second, because I think that zoomed me right into the core of our discussion today. Why is it different from LTE? Why is WiMAX different from LTE? Well, number one, WiMAX is real. I'll say it one more time. WiMAX is real. You can use WiMAX today. Now, having said that, there are different ways of deploying WiMAX. I know that you have some personal experience with WiMAX right now as a subscriber of a certain network. But I think that's a fine point. We should just... I didn't say that, you said that. I think we should give credit for people taking an effort and being a pioneer. So I would applaud my competitors' efforts to build the network. But having said that, I will come back and explain why we can offer a different experience in Malaysia. So just give me a few minutes. But let me explain why WiMAX is different from LTE. I think it's so important for people to understand that WiMAX is real. That LTE is still something that you toy with in labs. And when a country, such as Malaysia, has only 25% of the country connected to the internet, you can't wait for a lab product to come out to the market. This country needs mobile internet access now. It can't wait for LTE to mature. So we are not being theoretical about deploying WiMAX. We deploy WiMAX because this is the only technology that can deliver mobile internet access to Malaysians. It's as simple as that, at the right price, at the right performance. So, can I cross that out? Did we address that? Another thing that's important is that LTE, I meant to check it out. Another thing that's important for you to recognize is that LTE is actually based on a multiplexing technique called OFDMA. You can Wikipedia it, so or we can talk later on. But OFDMA is fundamentally the same multiplexing technology as WiMAX. So these two technologies are actually 80% compatible. The 20% that is not compatible is basically politics. Politics have to be compatible. And there's a certain company based in San Diego, not to be named, that really wants a lot of royalty payment. And that's the company that Sprint, we didn't want to do business with. So you got the idea. So that company has a lot of royalty tied up in LTE and the big champion of LTE. And that drives the cost up for LTE. Fundamentally speaking, if you look at LTE, the cost basis of LTE and WiMAX, like I said, 80% is the same, which means that they should have the same cost benefits from an economic standpoint. But due to this royalty thing, again, the inappropriate use of patent,